pick up the bike onto the back wheel, hold the brakes, put one foot on the peg, then when you put the other foot on the peg, you start hopping. This is one of those foundation tricks that will help you further along. It's well worth learning. Hello, thanks for tuning in. It really helps if you've got back brakes, and it also really helps if those brakes work. So intuitively, the hops don't happen straight away. You need to pull up with your hands on the handlebars at the same time as you jump up in the air. And what will tend to happen when you first start trying, you'll do these big, massive Goliath hops. What you want to work towards is reducing the size of the hops so the back tire is barely moving off the ground. And when you're landing nice and gently. All the weight's being taken up, all the shock's being taken up with your legs. There's not too much weight landing full on the pegs. And this comes from back in the 80s when you used to do this trick on the steel pegs and you would bend your axles. So to avoid bending your axles back in the 80s, do it softly. Once you're getting the hopping under control, you need to maintain the hops. So the idea is that you hop in the direction that you're falling. So if you're falling that way, you hop that way to get the back wheel underneath you. Falling that way, you hop that way. Falling backwards, you hop backwards. If you're falling forwards, you hop forwards. And you've got all that control, so use it. Firstly, aim for 1 hop. You can do that, great. Aim for 3. Get those 3 hops, awesome. Then aim for 10. 10 hops. And once you can do 10, I'm pretty sure you can do 50. So that's the way it's working. 1, 3, 10, 50. Okay. You get the idea. So now riding into the peg hops, stand on the back pegs, do a small endo, nice and controlled. Video in the description of how to do endos. Nice and gentle, come up onto the back wheel and start your hops. And of course, to ride out, gently put the front wheel down and step on the pedal and off you go. So now you've got the peg hops happening. There's quite a few variations that I want you to try as well. Looking at back peg hops with the front wheel on the ground. Back peg hops with both wheels coming off the ground. Now for a bit more fun, come around to do the hops on the front wheel. Still holding the handlebars like you normally would, so we're not this way, we're this way. Back wheel up in the air, exactly the same idea. Front brakes on, put the back wheel up in the air, 1 foot on the peg, and then when the second foot goes on the peg, you start your hops. Again, exactly the same idea of small hops, nice and gentle, nice and light. Hopping in the direction where you're falling so you can maintain your balance. And just like if you are holding the back wheel up in the air and you wanted to spin the back, you would just lean it over slightly, or if you wanted to go the other way, you would lean it over to the other direction. And that's our control. So when we're on the front wheel, we can move the back of the bike around. So from there, see if you can get the back of the bike to spin all the way around and step over the frame as you're going. Before we get the back of the bike actually going round and round, let's see if you can do the hopping on the front wheel, lift off 1 foot while you are still hopping. Another part to learn is to hop on the front wheel while you're still over the bike. So, same idea, lift the bike up onto the front wheel, 1 foot on the peg, and start hopping when the other foot gets onto the peg. When you're doing this, you might feel the bike going side to side, but it's trapped by your feet. And you can use that side to side to let the bike actually spin around. So practicing the hopping on 1 foot. And then as the bike starts to spin around, take that foot off and get it over the frame. You can use that momentum as the bike swings around to bring the bike back around and step over the frame again. So what you can now do, now you've learnt to hop while standing over the bike, is you can ride into it with a gentle endo, and as you go up into the front wheel, jump your feet to the pegs. Before you do the endo and jump onto the pegs, if you're finding that a bit scary, because it is, try just jumping onto the ground first. Do that a couple of times and then try and go straight from the pedals to the pegs. You jump to the ground a couple of times, getting more familiar with it, Now aim your feet straight for the pegs. Same idea. Now as you try this, try and push the handlebars forwards a little bit more, so when you jump onto the pegs, you land and then you push the handlebars forward to get the back of the bike up nice and high. What this is doing is allowing you to spend more time on the bike, on the pegs, and control everything before you fall off. This control is what you need so you can actually start hopping in control. As you land on the pegs, start to push the handlebars forwards at the same time as you start hopping. With that control and the hopping on the front peg, let the back of the bike start to swing from side to side, and then lift up your foot and keep hopping and let the frame spin around. And of course, to ride out of it, you can do whatever you want. You can drop the back wheel down, step on the pedal, you can go into a funky chicken, you can go into a decade, you can go into a backwards rolling something or other, you can go into a squeaker. There's lots. Awesome peg hops, back wheel, front wheel, and then the world is yours.